This is The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Whether you're a seasoned real estate expert, a first-time home buyer, or if you're simply passionate about hearing small business stories, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we dive deep into the world of real estate and beyond.
Today's episode is sponsored by Eco Roofing. Eco Roofing is the premier Arizona state roofer that offers free estimates as well as the best roof warranty that will last 25 years. Make sure to check them out and check the description for more info. Welcome to episode 50 of The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. I am your host, Janine Igliane, with my favorite co-host, Mr. Ryan Hatcher.
What's up, guys?
And today's a special episode, and I'm super pumped. I know Ryan is too, because we're celebrating. This is episode 50. So we're going to kind of do a look back onto the first 50 episodes and kind of celebrate what we've done and what we've been able to accomplish. A couple stats that I want to share with you guys, because I think this is really cool and really important, is only 1% of podcasts make it past 21 episodes. So we can officially say, Ryan, that we're in the top 1% of all podcasts.
That's crazy.
That's cool. The other super cool stat is only 90% of podcasts don't make it past one episode. This is crazy. So we're like top of the top with 50 episodes. Our first episode was August 11th of 22. So it's almost exactly to the day 2 years ago, which is also really cool that we're celebrating 50 episodes.
Yeah.
But what I think is even cooler is that we have met some super interesting people and had some really powerful conversations. I've cried during podcasts. I've definitely gotten emotional. We've laughed. We've learned. I think that's another really cool thing. And we have some really cool guests coming up. I'm super excited. So this will be fun.
Yeah, I was just talking to Janine before this off camera. My intention is very different now than it was when we first started. I remember thinking, who's going to listen to this for one? And never did I think that we would be in the top 3% in Arizona for leadership.
Yes, thank you for sharing those stats. Yeah, share those.
So top 3% now, top 3 podcast in Arizona for leadership, and then top 5 or top 4 for real estate, which is cool.
Yeah.
So,
top 3 for leadership in Arizona, top 4 for real estate in Arizona. That's super cool.
Yeah, and I love listening to these people and learning about them, and just going back and checking kind of some of the things that it kind of just refreshed my memory on.
Well, let's do it.
So cool.
Right?
So, yeah.
I love this. So let's go through, and hopefully we hope too that this is kind of an I don't know what the right word would be, showing honor to our guests that we've had, because each of them have been meaningful to us. So our very first episode, if you remember, was with my dad, and that was really cool because he got to share his story.
Yeah. We
got to hear how he made his start in real estate, and what better way to kick off our podcast with having my dad.
It was awesome. And I think it's a homage to him too, because he's such a big part of what we do now.
For sure.
And 40 plus years in the industry, and what we've learned from him.
Totally.
It's so cool.
Totally. So. That was a fun one. And now he has his story on video. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And as he starts to contemplate retirement life in the future, I just think it's a great way to kick off our episode.
I think anyone who's wanting to get into real estate should listen to that one.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one. Episode 2 was Mike Ballard with Ballard Interiors. I think Mike is seriously one of the coolest guys I know. He is just a stud.
Yeah, he is. Not only is he swole,
right,
and super fit. That's a very important thing in his life.
Yes.
But he's a serial entrepreneur. I think he's had 15 different businesses.
Yeah. Crazy. Awesome. He'll every once in a while remember one, and he'll send it. I didn't tell you this one. I had this. This was a business I did too.
Yeah.
But he's crushing it. He's the best for when it comes to remodel work. He's very hands-on. He's done a ton of work for clients, and they've all been super happy with him. I absolutely love working with Mike.
Yeah. One of the things I learned from him is he has done every aspect of his businesses. He's doing all the nitty gritty stuff, and then he was able to replace himself, and then have other people do those while he focuses on vision and big stuff.
I love that you said that, because that was important to him. He wanted to know how to do it. Yes. He didn't always have to be the one to do it, but that was important to him to know how.
And that to me is probably the best takeaway on this podcast for me personally is I love talking business. But a lot of this, like some of these people are not business people that we're even talking about.
Yeah.
But there are elements of their stories or their experiences that we can apply, that any entrepreneur can apply in any industry.
Perseverance, all of that.
Yes, so super cool.
Our episode 3 was Stacy Williams, our preferred lender. And Stacy talked about just the process of buying a home, what it looks like, what you can do with the refinancing and things like that. Yes. We had Stacy on. Did we have him on twice?
Yes, he was the first two-timer.
Yeah. Stacey's a cool dude. Episode 4, I don't know if you know this guy, Ryan Hatcher. He was on.
That guy.
Ryan talked about your journey into becoming a top performing realtor, how you got started with us. And that was fun to hear your take on all of that.
Yeah,
we love having you.
If anybody wants to know anything about me, then that's a good place to start. But
there you go.
I still feel like as good as we are at what we do and how much we love it, I still feel like I'm scratching the surface, of what we're capable of.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, it's cool to have that memorialized.
Yeah.
Episode 5 was a fun one. We had Anna Daniels on, and she talked about the Enneagram, and I loved learning about that. She is a wizard when it comes to that stuff.
It's her passion.
It is, and it's cool to know how your personality can affect how you show up in business. It also affects us and how we work with different people, right? Yes. Some people are all about the numbers and the facts and want all of that info. Some people don't care about that stuff, just get to the point. And when you can kind of know those personality types, I think you can serve them better.
Absolutely. And I don't think we utilize this stuff enough.
Yeah.
I think it's like I'm interested in personality traits and those things, but I knew nothing about the Enneagram until Anna came.
Yeah.
So that's a great episode to just learn and dig into what is your type, and then how does that relate to your spouse?
Yes,
or your kids.
Yes.
And just this morning I'm thinking, man, I'm yelling at my 17-year-old for not doing something. I'm like, maybe it's just a personality thing that's different than mine.
Totally.
And I need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's super helpful. Episode 6 was Rebecca Hill. She was the Power Ranch community manager at the time, and that was fun. She talked about the challenges and benefits of HOA, because I think there's a lot of misconception out there. Yeah. For me, coming from California, HOAs weren't very popular, and out here they're everywhere.
Yes.
And so what does that look like? What are some benefits? How can you work well? And she's just a great person too. So that was fun. Yeah. Episode 7, we had our Higley High School assistant principal and athletic director, Aaron. Yes. He was a fun one too.
Yes.
He really got into the mindset around sports and teamwork, and I loved that.
So he's a personal friend of mine, and now that I'm an assistant coach for the basketball program, I get to work with him more. And he's just a wealth of knowledge of what lessons you can learn in life from sports and how it applies to your life. But he shared in that episode so many cool tips for parents of athletes, for coaches, and for kids, for players, and how to be successful even when you're not getting that playing time that you're wanting, and what you need to do. How can you approach that? And so many great lessons on that episode. I highly recommend you listen to that one.
Yeah, I loved it.
If you're an athlete.
Episode 8 was Jamie and Suzanne with Style House Home Staging and Redesign. I mean, awesome. You don't even need to say anything.
It's such a huge component of our business, and really setting up our sellers in the right way to get the most amount of money they can for their house. And staging is such a huge part of that. And they're awesome.
And I love working with them, and I think they actually make it easier for our sellers, because they come in, they tell you what to do to get your house ready. You don't have to sit there and wonder and worry and think about it. They just tell you and you do it. And if a home's empty, they can come in and stage it and make it look beautiful. Just
this morning, I was emailing back and forth with them. We have a house under contract, full price offer. In this market, that's very hard to do, and it was largely because of the staging.
Totally.
So
I totally agree.
They're a huge piece of that.
Episode 9. This was the only episode, by the way, out of all of these that I didn't do.
Yeah, this was fun.
This was Paul Stratton with Stratton Inspections.
Yeah, so
I think I was sick that day.
Paul's a stud, and we love working with his company. They're our primary inspection company, and Randy and I delved into his background and what it takes to be successful, what's important to their company culture. And it was funny because he said he started going to happy hours, and that's how we met him.
Yep,
and
it is.
I said, I want to meet this dude. Yeah. So anyway, We have a great relationship now.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love his like straightforward approach when it comes to inspecting homes, but telling you what you need to know, but not making it overly scary.
Yes.
Right? Because sometimes it can come off as being really scary. We're actually having him on again.
Yes.
Soon. So
It'll be a two-timer.
Episode 10 was an episode that my dad and I did, talking about our top 5 lessons that we've learned in business and sharing some of those. And that was a fun one. That was a fun one to get to do with my dad and hear his wisdom. Again, just having been in the business for so long.
Yeah. You know, I wish we could have him on here more, but he is okay not being on.
Right. Right.
So anytime we can get a hold of him and grab some wisdom, we do it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, episode 11, I mean,
yeah.
I kind of know this guy a little bit. My husband, Ray Igliane, he talked about persevering to become a firefighter, what that whole process looked like. And he also shared maybe some funny stories.
Yeah, there's a funny story in there you definitely want to listen to.
Listen to the end, yes.
But I will say this, the word that I think of the most about that episode is perseverance. Mm-hmm. Like, how many times did he apply for? Yeah,
like over 200.
Over 200 times to apply to firefighter school, or what's it called?
Yeah, just to become a firefighter. So anybody that's listening that is thinking about a career in firefighting, that'd be a great episode to listen to.
Yes. Or that if you're you're struggling with whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Totally. Anything that you have to kind of keep working at and it's not happening right away, being able to stick with it if you really believe it's your passion.
Yes.
He's a stud, if I do say so myself.
Yep.
Another stud is Ian, who we had on episode 12. Ian is our go-to photographer, videographer for all of our listings. He is not only really good at what he does, but he's just a cool dude.
Yeah, he's so fun. He's one of
I would say he's one of my really good friends.
And I wrote this down because I forgot. He made me tear up.
Right?
And
I think I did too. Yeah, it was awesome. He shared his personal why behind what he does and why he does it. And that's always just super cool to hear.
Yes. And what I love about him, besides he's a stud, he's a great friend, very loyal friend, but he just cares about his product, his service, what he does. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, if you show up, you're beating 50% of the field. If you just show up. But if you care at all about what you produce, you're in the top 10% right there.
Yeah.
And he absolutely is.
Yeah. Our clients love him. He's great.
Yeah.
Episode 13 was Phaedra. Phaedra is just an amazing human being. She runs Aspire here in Power Ranch, our business networking group. But she also talked a lot about networking and the importance of that. She also talked about what she does and her volunteer work with Oakwood Creative Care. And that was really cool too, just to hear her heart. She is one of the kindest people I know.
Yeah. If you want to find somebody that really values relationships and is just a light, she's the one.
Yeah.
She's
Phaedra is so sweet.
good. Yes.
She's awesome.
Yes.
Episode 14. Oh, this was
you.
mine.
Yeah.
You guys interviewed me talking about kind of my career and why I do what I do and all of that.
Yep. So if you want to know more about Janine, listen to episode 14. That's a great one.
Yes. Episode 15 was none other than Monday, and we talked about new builds. We talked about her journey, and she has been in the business for a while. We have the honor of working with Monday. Yeah. She is a true professional. I think she's just a great addition to our team. She loves and cares for her clients. I can't say enough about Monday Ann because her husband works with a builder. She's like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to new builds.
She's got the insight on all of that stuff. And to your point, I mean, I've loved having her on our team. She has been such a great addition. Yeah. And I probably learned more from her than she did.
Right? Always so many good ideas.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Episode 16 was Brett Simper, and he talked about elevating your business with the power of digital platforms. Talked about social media, best practices, marketing, all of that kind of stuff. And that was super fun. And I will give Brett credit. He was actually the one that started this podcast for us. And so he kept us going. He was a great dude, or is a great dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are so grateful for all that he did to get us to where we are now.
Yeah. Episode 17, Eric Perry with Eco Roofing. He is the owner. He talked about the importance of serving others and the key factors that contribute to a successful roofing business. Things that are important to him: a strong team with a shared vision and a focus on customer care.
Yes, and he's such a big servant person.
Yes.
So a huge part of their business is so much like ours is we want to serve the community.
Okay, episode 18. This was you and I, Ryan, and this was a really fun one. And you said this was one of your favorites.
It is, actually. As I look back at it, this applies to any entrepreneur out there, any business owner. How do you mix your personal life, your family life, and all the responsibilities you have there with your business? And so we get into some nitty-gritty details about that. What does that look like? How do we involve our kids? How's our spouse involved? And
that's one of the things that I love working with you is that we're so like-minded in that way, that our family is such a priority to us, but we get to incorporate them into our business and they support us. Kara, your kids,
yes.
Ray, my kids, they're there at all of our events working side by side with us, but they really support us, which is part of why we're able to be so successful.
Absolutely. And we also talk about just managing time and how to set boundaries that are good for you and your family, but also allow you to be successful in business. And that's a very tough thing to do.
It is, yeah.
So, great episode.
Episode 19, Stacey Williams back again for a repeat, talking about the market and interest rates and some tips and tricks on that. Episode 20 was a really fun one. We had Ken and Heidi Neely on. So Heidi is also on our team.
Yeah, I think it was our first couple.
That's right, yeah. And that was fun. So Ken's a bankruptcy attorney, and he talks about all the intricacies when it comes to if you have to file bankruptcy. He also gave us some really great advice on how to avoid that, so some best practices. And we got to hear their story, and they're a great team. That's one of the things that's awesome when you work with Heidi, is that she, having a husband that is an attorney, she can get some legal advice, which is also great too. She has such a great lens, and again, another amazing addition to our team. And we love having Heidi. Total professional, super cares about her clients. Heidi's awesome. Yeah, she's great. I remember Ken talking about at some point one of the things that pushes people over to bankruptcy is their auto loan. Yes. Believe it or not. So be careful with your car debt. I think even Stacey has said that. It's one of the hardest things for people with qualifying is just super high car payments. It'll tip you over the edge. Episode 21, this was a fun one. We did a whole Gilbert versus Queen Creek episode. I won't tell you what town won. You'll just have to listen. Yeah. Episode 22. This was such a fun one. So Brandon is our head trainer and actually he's been promoted since then at my gym of F45, but he talked about the benefits of working out, pushing past your boundaries. And he talked about our gym. He is a solid dude. And he's also not bad on the eyes because he's a model. So, just saying. I'll let the ladies deal with that. Here's one thing I want to say about this. And if you listen to the episode, you'll hear him say this, but here's a question. Do you want to wipe your own rear end when you're old? And if you... Or be able to, right? Yeah, if you want to be able to, then listen to this episode because it was very inspirational on how to just stay fit and why. Why, yeah. Yes, why is it important? And some basic things that you can do that aren't that hard. Yes. Episode 23, this was with one of our really good friends, Tyler Elliott. I will tell you, this is actually the most watched episode on YouTube. Yeah. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. Tyler is a solid dude. He has tons of experience in the new build world. So he is super smart that way. But one of the things I loved about his episode was he gave so many life lessons in there that were so powerful. We need to have him back. So as I was re-listening to it, I thought of back in the 90s, Sports Center, they would throw around this term called web gems. And it was usually baseball, and somebody flashed leather and made some awesome play. He has so many what I would call life gems, so many quotes, so many just little cool tips. That's one of my favorite episodes because he is a stud. So yes, we definitely should have him back. We should. Yeah. Episode 24, Rachel Broadley. She was the principal of Centennial Elementary, and that was a really fun episode. She got to talk about creating a positive culture, talked about teachers and things that are important to them. She's a great leader, and she was a really fun guest to have on.
Yeah, she talked about cultivating positive work culture, and you could tell that she's successful at that.
Yes, so people love her. Episode 25 was Jason Payne, who is the owner of State 48 Roofing.
Jason Von Payne.
Jason's also a stud. He has his pulse on so many things. He's very business-minded, very driven, and he cares passionately about what he does. And I really love working with him in that way.
Absolutely. If you're looking for somebody who's unique and has a very high energy,
yes.
I don't know that I know anybody that's better at marketing than that guy. Like he is just, and he's fearless.
Yeah.
So he will literally post 10 times a day if that's what he has to do to get his brand out there. And they're all over the valley.
Yeah.
So State 48 Roofing.
Yeah, they're studs. Yeah. He has a podcast too. Episode 26, Jason Crittenden. Jason is a friend. He is a realtor. He's an investor, and he's another stud.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've ever thought about the concept of designing your own life, living life by design, this episode is very important. Jason is awesome. And he's one of those guys that you want to know. Yeah. You know, I feel like I'm better because I know him.
Totally.
And that episode, again, he talks about so many different things, but another thing I love about him is he's just so down to earth.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you straight up, I knew nothing about this, and now I know a ton about it because I just asked questions and I went.
Well, and he shares, right? And I love that he's a fellow realtor. There is just more collab that can be done between the two of us, and getting to hear his wisdom and tax saving strategies. Oh my gosh, that guy is a stud.
Yeah, I feel like he should be teaching some stuff.
Yes, so. I've been telling him. Episode 27 was Becky Chaluka. Becky is the founder and managing attorney of Chaluka Law, just right around the corner from our office. And she was really great. She shared her personal story of tragedy, losing her father. She also talked about the importance of protecting families through estate planning, which so many people, they don't think about what that happens on the other side. I have a client right now who we can't sell their house because they didn't have anything set up when the father passed, and it's in probate. And she's having to keep making payments on this house, which is a real struggle for her, just so that she can get it into her name so that she can sell it, because there's quite a bit of equity. So it's so important. And then there's also, in that episode, she talks about something that we also don't think about is when our kids turn 18, they can advocate for themselves in medically and all of that. You don't have a say-so. Yeah. So there's some forms that you can have signed that can help with that. So
I wrote them down: healthcare, power of attorney, and financial power of attorney.
Yes.
Also HIPAA authorization. So that's a great episode, because I have my 17-year-old's turning 18 in a week.
God forbid something happens to one of my kids. I don't want a hospital making their medical decisions.
Yes. And you have no permission
you don't.
Unless they give it to you.
Yeah.
So
episode 28 was Matt Kuiper of Desert Plunge. So Matt created the cold plunge through Desert Plunge, which is a huge thing. And he talks about his personal journey and how he overcame anxiety and how it's helped him. He talks about all the benefits of it. He's a super solid dude and gave tons of info.
Not just cold plunging, but then the entrepreneurial side of how he built that business.
Creating
which is cool.
a business, and they're killing it. Yeah. They're really doing awesome. Episode 29, we did a fun little Q&A, talked about what lies ahead in the real estate market, what a day in the life of a realtor looks like, and what profession we would be in if we weren't a realtor. So you'll have to listen to that episode if you want to know.
And see if our predictions were right.
Right. Episode 30, this was one of my favorites, you guys. I'm totally being honest. It was Jim and Natasha Desmarchais, and they are a super solid couple that has been married for a while. They have 2 grown sons. They are grandparents. They talk about their whole journey and what makes their marriage successful parenting. And because Jim is a superintendent of Gilbert Christian Schools, he also talks about that side of things. Oh my gosh, so many good lessons and nuggets in that episode.
If you want to improve your family and your marriage, listen to that episode.
Yes. Episode 31, someone else I know very well, my sister Amy Perez, she talked about the foster care system and what crisis we have in Arizona. Arizona is one of the highest states in the entire country with the biggest need of our foster care system. And so that was another really emotional episode.
It was actually our most solemn episode.
Yeah.
Like it was heavy.
It was heavy.
I mean, 9,700 children in Arizona approximately are in the foster care system, but there's only 2,900 licensed foster families available to help them. So that's alarming. And once you know that, it's
there's such a need. So
yes.
Listen to that if you're even thinking about getting into foster care. Episode 32, Dr. Lucas Melendez of Freedom Chiropractic. That was another solid, super fun episode. He talked all about the power of chiropractic care, talked about your mindset in healing your body and the importance of that. He just talked about overall health. Yeah. That was a really fun, so many good tips.
Really good tips in that one. Listen to that one.
And also just opening a business. He shared his journey, which was really cool too. Episode 33, one of our favorites with Marcus Green. Marcus is another stud.
He's one of those guys, like, once you get to know him well, you realize he operates on a completely different level than 95% of the population for sure.
Totally.
And so you're elevated by just being around him and what he does.
Yeah.
And so he's actually the guy who got me into real estate. And we talk about that in that episode. So good.
Episode 34, Mr. Jeff Bickle, the Bridges Elementary principal. That was another fun one. He shared his story and how he got into that, kind of going from being sports-minded to academic-minded. And he also has a really great philosophy and culture as the principal of Bridges.
Yeah, when you think of fun principals, which don't usually go together, he's just a stud.
He is.
I really love working with him with elementary stuff.
Episode 35 was Pastor Daniel, who is a pastor at Rock Point, and he's opening his own church. So he talked about the church planting process. One of the things I loved is he talked about how do you discern the voice of God, and just sharing his journey. It was super impactful. I hear a lot of feedback on that episode. Yeah. From people that say, hey, I really enjoyed that.
Here's a quick takeaway that I remember. He basically was saying, let's be more about what we are for than what we are against. And in this society right now, we're struggling with that.
I love that.
So what are we for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Episode 36, Brad Levitt, who's the owner of AFT Construction, which specializes in high-end luxury new builds. He shared his core values that drive his business. He emphasized craftsmanship, integrity, client satisfaction. He also talked about how he got into the business, which, again, I love hearing people's stories. Yeah. He's a cool dude. He really cares about quality, which I think that's not always the case when it comes to home builders. Yeah. He's very intentional, wanting to make sure his home site is clean. And he's really great. Yeah,
he shared with us some of the core values of their company, and it's a very successful construction company. He loves teaching people about this business. Kind of a funny note, just the other day I saw this. He actually has more followers now than Corey Feldman, who was an 80s teenage actor back in the day. So it's kind of a funny
How did
thing.
you connect that, Ryan?
One of his friends posted them side by side.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. I was going to say.
It was so funny. So, anyway.
He's a cool dude. Episode 37, you and I sat down together and we talked about a book, because we always do a book as a team. We read a book together, and we reviewed The Slight Edge.
Our first book review. And that is an exceptional book just for anyone, really. And I highly recommend you listen to the episode, but read the book.
A friend of mine listened to the episode and then went and read the book, and he was like, you guys inspired me to go read it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Episode 38, Simply Organized Solutions for You. We had Atelka and Susie on, and they talked all about home organization. That is their business. So they will come into your home, organize your space, whether it's they did my master bedroom closet. They do bedrooms, they do garages, pantries is a big one for them.
And one of the main reasons is to clear your mind and have a much better overall well-being in your home. So I love it.
I love that. Episode 39 was Shauna Meek, a friend of mine who has written a book. So go check it out, called Determined for More. And her story, you guys, I've been friends with her for a long time. Hers is a tough story. Yeah. And a lot of it I didn't even know. You go through so many hard times, and sometimes we don't share those. She shares it all. And it is, I think, a story of love, dedication, perseverance, and getting a diagnosis and kind of navigating that.
Yeah, it's just a great reminder. We do not know what people are really going through.
Right.
And so Yeah, it's a heavy one too.
It's a good one. Episode 40, Matt Ross, a dear friend of mine. I love this guy. He is with Rising Dental, and he has a very unique take on dental insurance, and they're doing something completely revolutionary. But he talks about the business side of it, the benefits of what he's doing, and how he got into that, and just another really cool dude.
Yeah, very cool concept about how they bill and the financial piece for clients needing dental care. It's very different than any other. In fact, they're the pioneers of it.
Yes,
so
and
cool.
There's a lot of dentists out there that are pushing because they get paid through insurance, and sometimes that's not always in your benefit. So listen to that episode. Episode 41, we had Denver Lane with New Level Med Spa, again, just around the corner from our office. Also a super cool dude. Yeah. We talked about everything. We talked about his journey. We talked about a lot of health and wellness. He got into some TRT stuff with us, some weight loss stuff with us, and that's it's really popular right now.
Yep. So hormone stuff, nutrition supplementation, that company is really cool.
Episode 42 was Erin Horn. So Erin, this was the episode, you guys, that I cried in. Very emotional. She shares her journey in getting a cancer diagnosis and what that looks like. And not only did she get a cancer diagnosis, but she got it right in the middle of COVID.
And she had just had a baby.
And she talks about what she had to do to persevere through that, what that looked like. One of the takeaways, I get chills just thinking about it, was when she got her diagnosis and she was on the phone with her husband, he said to her, "I never took you to Germany." After she got better, they went to Germany. And the lesson in that was take the vacation.
Oh, yes.
And that just stuck with me.
Yes, make the memory.
Erin's episode, by the way, is our top ranked episode on Apple Podcasts. Just a fun fact for you.
She's awesome. Highly recommend that one. I missed it. I was on vacation, and I was so bummed because I know Erin well. And just knowing the topic, I'm glad I missed it because I probably would have been crying too.
Oh, it was I had to hold it together for that one. Episode 43, this was a Q&A that I did where people got to ask questions about my life, real estate, business, all fun things. And this is surprising, you guys. That is our number 3 top ranked episode on Spotify. I don't know. And also on Apple. Both those episodes made the top 3. I don't know why you guys would care, but hey, so be it.
It's awesome.
Episode 44 was Chris Randazzo with Hands Free Popcorn. I really loved his story, how he created this and what he had to do to get through, to persevere, to make this his dream a reality. That's a great one to listen to.
Such a cool product and entrepreneurial spirit. Check that one out.
That's our second favorite podcast on Apple. Episode 45 was Marshall Hancock with Outback Custom Homes. Marshall is a seasoned home builder. He talks about home building. He talked about how he got into the home building business and the challenges and lessons along the way. And I loved that. It was just a fun episode.
And he had a mustache.
Episode 46 was Diana. Diana does couple, individual, and infertility counseling. And she talked about the challenges. She gave us some best practices and why counseling is important. I think there was a lot to be learned in that episode.
For sure.
Episode 47, we had Brady Mitchell of Chip Cookies.
Chip.
If you know Ryan and I, we have a little bit of a sweet tooth, and he did bring us cookies.
It was excellent.
It was good. Listen to that one if you want to know what that looks like and starting a new business and a franchise and maybe some of the challenges that you have to overcome. Episode 46 was Megan Moss. Megan owns Connecting Hope Coaching, where she focuses on helping teen girls and moms. She talks about preteens and teens and just the epidemic of anxiety and depression. She gave some best practices around that. And then she also helps moms that are navigating teenage daughters. And as a mother of 2 teenage daughters, we need that.
Yeah, I love that.
And then our last episode 49, was with Stacy and Chandler of Perspire Sauna Studio. And that was really cool hearing their story, but also hearing the benefits of a sauna.
Infrared.
And we all got to go there and visit their studio, and I loved it.
I'm a huge fan now.
I want to go back.
Yeah, and we will be.
Ryan, I want to tell you some things that you may not know about our podcast, okay? So our podcast has reached San Diego listeners.
Wow.
Las Vegas, Denver, Colorado, Provo, Utah. Our top 3 listeners are either located in Phoenix, Salt Lake City, or Mesa, Arizona.
Salt Lake City, huh?
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
We have some fans in Salt Lake.
Phoenix, Salt Lake, and Mesa. Wow.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Our top rated, so if you don't know, our podcast is put on YouTube. It's also on Apple and Spotify. And on YouTube, our number 1 ranked episode, or viewed episode, was Tyler's episode, followed by Pastor Daniel. And our 3rd most viewed was the Simply Organized Solutions. So,
wow.
Ryan, in conclusion, what would you say has been like your biggest aha of doing this podcast?
Well, I kind of touched on it to begin with. My intentions at the beginning of this were to just get out there and see how many people we could touch, right? But now I don't care as much, honestly. Like if we hit 1 million, that would be amazing. Or if there was 10,000, I mean, whatever. Yeah. I love it because of what I know I'm gaining from it and what I think other people will gain as well.
I love it.
And just yesterday, I was at a title company, and the escrow officer said, "I love your guys' podcast." I'm like, that's super cool. So
it's so fun. I say this all the time. I feel like it's very selfish because I get to sit in here and hear people's stories and learn. I'm always inspired, motivated, encouraged. I love it. Yes. So thank you all for listening and allowing us to do this, and keep watching. More episodes to come.
Episode 50.
Thanks for listening to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the Home Selling Team on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify to stay up to date with our podcast.